And welcome in, guys. Week 11, EPL Week 11, Game Day Week 11 or Game Day 11. Yeah, I got a smack in the face. Look at that. Oof. I got attacked by an Amazon box. Yes, I had the Amazon box on the table, ripping off the tape because there was something inside I really needed. Couldn't get there quick enough. Obviously, it slips off the table. I tried to save it and bang, straight in the face. So Amazon 1, Stevie 0, but I will get better. So yeah, if you're looking at the bruise, and did it bleed? But anyway, blood, sweat and tears, that's what the world's made of. And let's get into this. It is Week 11 EPL, and I got my predictions coming. But there's one thing about this weekend that you might not know. And if you don't, it's quite simple. This weekend is Bonfire Night or Guy Fawkes Night. And this is what we look at. You see, effigies, like there's Boris over there and a few of the other politicians. And we like to burn effigies at Bonfire Night or Guy Fawkes Night, and I got to say, it's a real big thing in the UK, and lots of people get into it. Guy Fawkes, look it up; it's part of history in Britain. And Bonfire Night, it's a real tradition right across the UK, and people get into it and love it. So it's Bonfire Night or Guy Fawkes weekend, Game Day 11 in the EPL. Let's look at last week's predictions. We didn't do too bad. We didn't do great. So I'm going to look at the board as we get through this, but I'm still talking to you, and you know I am. And looking at last weekend, I'd tell you there's a few games in there that were tricky, but most of them we were okay with. There was a couple of upsets, and that's where we lost out. Brentford upsetting Chelsea. I tell you, Chelsea, we got some news about Chelsea. Hang around for the news after the predictions. We've got some interesting stories for you. But yeah, last weekend, Chelsea-Brentford. You know, there was a chance Brentford could pull the shocker. They did. I did say there was a chance they could. They did. And Chelsea are looking pretty glum right now. And then obviously West Ham, Everton. You know, West Ham midweek slapping the Arsenal 3-1, but couldn't take out Everton on the weekend. Too bad, too bad. But got to say, on the weekend, though, it looked a little bit better for us when we moved to Sunday, because Brighton, Fulham, Villa, Luton, Liverpool, Forest, Man United, Man City, all of those Reds, we got correct announcements on. So for the weekend, we didn't do great, but we didn't do bad. 75% on the weekend. Now, moving to this weekend, Bonfire Night, Guy Fawkes Night, weekend of football. There's your Saturday events. Big games on Saturday. First one up, I'm taking Man United over Fulham. I expect Man United, as miserable as they're playing right now, and as much pressure as Ten Hag is under, and those players that are not performing or not working, I do expect Man United to at least bounce back. You should put your money on Fulham if you're a Fulham fan, because there's a chance you will win this one. But you've got to think that Man United will come back and show at least some pride, wouldn't you think? I mean, really, how low can they go? Next up, you're talking Brentford, West Ham. I'm going to go with the Hammers on this one. I think the win in midweek against Arsenal is going to fire them along. And Antonio recently in the press came out and said, you know, we are just really miserable. We're not hitting form well. Maybe the Arsenal game, midweek EFL Cup win, will be a catalyst for the rest of the season. I hope so. I really do. Man City, Bournemouth, there it is. What can you say? What can you say? And Andoli, Areola, Bournemouth manager, well under pressure. Will he last the season? We'll get to that pretty soon. So Man City taking another win. Wolves, I'm taking over Sheffield United. This is definitely a time where Sheffield could get a win. I'm not saying they will, but Sheffield United need a win for Heckingbottom. He's another guy under pressure. You'll hear that soon. Next game up, Burnley Palace. Burnley really fading away fast, and company, another guy you'll hear about in a little while, pretty soon. Burnley fading away and literally fading into the cracks. I mean, Crystal Palace should have enough in the tank to bounce back after some indifferent form recently to pick up a win. Everton, Brighton, yeah. Everton might well be playing decent football right now and winning and scoring goals and, you know, literally puffing their chests out that, hey, we can score goals now. That's what Sean Dyche said, the coach. The difference between Everton last year and now is we're taking our chances. Let's see if you take your chances against Brighton, because Brighton will be coming for the win. They need the win, and Brighton literally, I would say, one of their mid-team tables in top form over the last year and a half. Let's see where they finish in the season. I reckon maybe 8 or 9 when you look about the European games they've still got to play, etc., that extra pressure, extra games. But I'm taking Brighton on the day. The big game on Saturday, for my money, I've got to say, is Newcastle and Arsenal. The Geordies are on fire. Absolutely everything they're touching right now over the last 18 months is turning to gold. I expect the Geordies to be in the top 4 at the end of the season. And I think they'll literally They're going to imprint what happened last year again this season. The only difference I can think of with Newcastle United is you need to spend, and get some real top quality in defence. You're doing well, but I think if you bolster the defence and add maybe one or two in midfield and on the front line, I think then you're getting close to being a challenging team for sure. But I expect another big game. Arsenal lose midweek. Do they lose 2 back-to-back? Well, Newcastle's not an easy place to game, and I think on this form, I've got to tip Newcastle on this day. There's no doubt about it. I'm going with the Geordies on this one. It might just be 1-0, but that's all they need. Now, moving over to Sunday, which is November 5th, which is Guy Fawkes night, which is Boxing Day. Bonfire night, not Boxing Day, Bonfire night. So look it up, Guy Fawkes night, Bonfire night in the UK, and you'll see what it's all about. Those are the games coming off this weekend. Nottingham Forest taking on Aston Villa. I'm going with Villa. I think Stevie Cook's doing a great job with Forest, but they're getting closer to that relegation battle, aren't they now? I think over the length of the season, I do say that Forest and the players that they picked up over the last year will keep them in the division. I don't see Forest getting relegated, but it might get close. They may bob in and out close to it. But I think at the end of the season, Forest will pull away. Aston Villa, how good and how big can they be this season? I mean, what a fantastic season again. Next game up is Luton taking on Liverpool. I have to say, I see Liverpool taking this one. I can't see it going any other way. I really cannot. And I mean, you got to think, coming up for Monday's game, which is after Bonfire night, Monday's game is Tottenham-Chelsea. Pochettino, another guy in deep, deep trouble. I think Tottenham takes this one handily. Let's take a look at the table, top and bottom 10. Okay, guys, looking at the top 10, it is what it is. Tottenham Hotspur well on top. 2 points, it was 5. But obviously Arsenal, Man City win last weekend. Arsenal in second, Man City in third. Liverpool, where I said they should be, are in fourth. And it's 3 points separating the top 4. It's getting closer. And literally, I see 4 teams running at least mid-table to the mid-season, yeah? That's what we're looking at. I think that by mid-season, what you see here in the top 10 is what we're going to have in the top 10. And I think the top 4 will remain the top 4. Villa can chase and Newcastle can hound it down. But I think those 4 teams are literally what you're looking at. Tottenham on top now, doing fantastic. Can it last? Can it really last? Did you see Tottenham staying on the top of the table all game long? Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, you know they're going to be there and thereabouts chasing things, yeah? And Aston Villa, like I say, dream season again under Unai Emery. And Newcastle, Brighton doing as well as they could be at this stage of the season. Newcastle might have a bit of fortune going up again, but Manchester United in 8th, woeful. West Ham 9th, and then Brentford in 10th. Looking at the bottom of the table, looks pretty similar. Chelsea still in 11th, can't get out of the bottom 10. Wolverhampton Wanderers moving to safety. Palace moving down closer to the relegation battle. Fulham moving a little bit closer away from the danger zone. Everton moving away from the danger zone too. And Forest getting closer to the danger zone. Bottom 4, Bournemouth, Luton, Burnley, Sheffield. I've got to say, those 3 do look like the teams that will go down. The only team that has a real chance of going down for sakes of Luton, Burnley, or in exchange for maybe Sheffield, is actually Bournemouth. Let's take some of the news. Welcome to the Chop Shop. There's 5 guys up there that I think really need to be worried. A couple of other guys too, Stevie Cook at Nottingham Forest and Andioli Iraola from Bournemouth as well. Both coaches literally should be worried about it, yes. On the right there, Iraola, starting from the right, we'll work our way to the left. But Iraola on the right side of the screen there, he should be worried about his job. So should a few other guys. But literally, Bournemouth is where they should be. Were you ever going to see Bournemouth in another position than where they are? I don't think so. The only thing that can happen to them is they survive maybe 1, 2 places above relegation. I think maybe 1 place at least. Or they go down. It's that simple. I don't see Bournemouth being anywhere else. It didn't matter what they did with the coach. And this coach, Iraola, came in from Rayo Vallecano 3 years. And literally, I mean, wasn't bad over 160 games. He had like 53 wins, 30 draws, and 50 losses over the season, 39% winning record. So not what you would say fantastic. But why did Bournemouth bring him in with such little experience? I mean, 41 years old. He's only got a handful of years at the top flight. And is La Liga the Premier League? I don't know. Anyway, Vincent Kompany next to him. Big Man City player. Big coach last year when he won the championship by a clear mile. I mean, Burnley were streets ahead of everybody else, but now it's reality. And Vincent Kompany, I think, may fear for his job. But if I was the coach's boss, I'd say you're there till the end of the year, because the parachute payment that we get next year, I'd sooner get that and keep you to come back again and maybe do it all over and make more money in the process. So it's not a bad situation with Kompany, but I do expect a normal coach in his position to have been fired, if not now, maybe in the next handful of games, at least before Christmas. Iraola and company want to worry about their job. Pochettino in the middle with Chelsea. I mean, let's face it, Chelsea in 11th. Isn't that ridiculous? They shouldn't be in 11th. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows it, even Pochettino. And he's telling the fans, it's going to take time. Please be patient. When you spend the kind of money that Chelsea spent, Mr. Bowley, the Chelsea boss man, when you spend the kind of money that you've spent, there is no time. They are literally supposed to hit the ground running and perform. Goal scorers, midfielders, defenders, goalkeeper, doesn't matter who. But you're coming in, you've got to perform. Chelsea's wasted a lot of money. In fact, they probably wasted more than Man United. Next up, Sheffield United's Kevin Hickenbottom. He is in deep, but what choice do they have? If they fire him, who's going to come in and save him? Who's going to come in and save the club? Who can they pick up at this stage of the season? Most of the big club trainers have clubs, and they're not going to move to Sheffield United, who look absolutely guaranteed to be relegated. Yeah, 1 point all season? Come on, let's face it. Reality says they're gone already. So I wouldn't fire Heckingbottom. I'd keep him and keep him for next year for the championship, because he's a proven coach at the championship. Unfortunately, he's a decent coach at this level. They just don't have the quality. And then Erik ten Hag there on the left here in the chop shop. I got to say, would you fire Erik ten Hag? Would you let him go right now? Again, who are you going to get? And who wants to come to Manchester United? If you're looking at the players that they get or that they can buy, other teams don't want them players. That's got to register. And the players that Man United have bought recently, they've spent way too much money. They're not worth that kind of coin. Really, they're not. So Erik ten Hag, two choices. Do you fire him now, or do you keep him to the end of the season and see what happens? What do you think? I know what I think. But what do you think? Should he go? Should he stay? Should the board let him go? Should the board let some players go instead? I mean, that whole team looks like an absolute mess, even down to the point where right now, Erik ten Hag is having solo one-on-one meetings with all the players to try and steady the ship, stop the rot, and avoid the mutiny. And when I say the mutiny, I think there is a mutiny at Manchester United, and it's been there for quite some time. And if you draw your minds back to when Ronaldo left United, I think it's clear to see that there is, in fact, a mutiny at Man United. Let's move off to some fan news. Look at Chelsea's ground the other day. Chelsea losing at home to Brentford. Here's the picture. But the one thing I want to point to you is way, way, way earlier. The clock says 97:49 there, but way earlier, those seats were all empty. Way, way early. Lots of Chelsea fans walking out. Not just Man United fans walking out, but Chelsea fans walking out too. Let's take a look at Ivan Toney, apparently, reportedly, worth £100 million. Who's going to buy him? Let's take a look. So there he is, the big man, Ivan Toney himself. I tell you what, I've been a fan from Ivan Toney for quite some time. Brentford, you know, when you think about the last couple of seasons, you've done well because he scored goals and he is a goal threat. He's absolutely very, very intimidating for defenders. And when he's on his game, he pushes his weight around, he throws his weight around, and he dominates the zone. So I think that you get more than a guy that's got skilly feet and a great head. He's also got the physical nature, and he's also got the mental nature. And if it hasn't have been for his gambling and being banned from playing recently, you'd have seen him on the field already. And possibly that gambling ban has ruined his England career. I wonder if Southgate is going to bring him back in and make him part of the squad and put him in the team and make him part of the whole thing again. I wonder. What do you think? Is Toney going to be an England player again? Does Southgate open the door again? And has Ivan Toney learned his gambling addiction lesson? So let's put it this way. £100 million is reportedly to be worth right now. Is he going to move on? You know, there's two clubs that are looking very close. But right now, he's a Brentford player. But you've got to say there's a team across London, and it's London clubs that are interested in Brentford. Not far from Chelsea. Chelsea's interested, and they've got the money because Mr. Bowley seems to want to buy anything these days. But can they really get him over the Arsenal? Because Arsenal Will they be able to afford the 100 million, or are they going to do a player trade as well? You see, both Arsenal and Chelsea want this guy. At the end of the day, would you go to Arsenal or would you go to Chelsea? Is he worth 100 million, or is he worth more 70 to 80 million? I think he's probably worth more the 65 million range. What do you think? Where do you think he's going? Will it be Arsenal? Will it be Chelsea? Or will he end up staying at Brentford? Guys, that's all we got time for on the EPL predictions of this show. Join us next week and we'll have more news, more predictions, and we'll see how we did this week. Last week, 75%. Wasn't happy with that. But sometimes goals can mess up the day, or the VAR too. We'll just have to wait and see how we do. But anyway, enjoy your games. I hope your team wins. You know I'm a Man United fan in the EPL, so really, Fulham, let's have it. Let's have another win and put the pressure on Man United one more week. And eventually, it's either offload the coach or sacrifice a few players. They are in an absolute mess. Cheers for watching, guys. And if I enjoyed it and you enjoyed it, it means we had a great game this weekend. I hope I enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you like what I said and you think I earned your like, then please like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Cheers.